How do you think Brodie Croft looked today?
Thought he looked like Brodie Croft, but in a better coloured jersey.
Leeds has won back-to-back rugby league titles. The golden generation finally has its golden fleece. No England game, it seems, is complete without a Ryan Hall try. Jamie Peacock.
Kevin Sinfield.
Rob Burrow.
Jamie Jones Buchanan for Leeds.
It's one of the most popular beards in rugby league.
There aren't many in Super League that can do that.
We just want to be a great friend, and if we can all try and be a bit of a better friend from time to time, I think we have a bit of a better place to live in.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Lot Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17-8 podcast, kindly sponsored by Fast Signs, who are an established family-run business who have been providing businesses around Leeds and West Yorkshire with effective signs and graphics for almost 30 years. Fast Signs are passionate about helping customers make a statement with signs that are eye-catching, effective and delivered fast. So once again, thanks to Fast Signs for sponsoring us. They are our new sponsors alongside ACD&B. Joining me as always, my right-hand man, my co-host, but our amazing stats man, Statman Reese.
I'm a stat man.
Reese.
How are you, Reese?
I'm good, thank you. Good. Day before match day. Getting a little bit excited.
Round two. This is our new Rhinos Weekly Roundup midweek podcast, Reese. What's coming up? What's going to happen on these midweek podcasts, my friend?
So they're going to be in two parts. The idea of this was that a bit of last year, we felt that we were missing out on telling people about what's going on at the club, but also the one club ethos that is Rhino. So talking about the women's results, the academy results, the PDRL, the LDRL, the wheelchair. So this year we want to make sure we're having a real focus on that one club. So the first part will be a weekly roundup of everything Rhinos, including the netball, as well. So a weekly roundup of anything that's happened in the weekend, any results on the weekend, any news from the club or anything like that. So it should just be nice, short and sweet, but hopefully on occasion when either the women or the PDRL or the wheelchair have played, we're hopefully going to get a player on from either of those teams in rotation to give us a bit of a lowdown on their game on the weekend as well. So it's a new pod, we're running with it, but we like the idea and we want to make sure we keep on that one club vibe. But then that now means that the preview for the next round has moved from the match review panel to this podcast as well. Yes. So it means that when you're travelling up to Hull KR tomorrow or down across the M62, you can listen to this on the way over. You can have a quick roundup on what's happened in the Rhinos this week, and then you can hear us talking about the preview ahead of the game tomorrow.
Just a bite-sized podcast to run through all the club news. By that, like Reece says, women's, PDRL, all the academy sides, all the sides. A bite-sized podcast just to round everything up nicely because for whatever reason, we just lost touch with the club as a whole last year, and we want to work on that. So we're going to release these midweek, every week. What's coming up in part one, Reese?
So I've talked about part one being the roundup of everything that's happened in the Rhinos this weekend. But it was just the men that played and the netball team. So the netball team actually did open their season last Saturday. They went down to Nottingham, where they unfortunately lost 57-41. But they're also heading away this weekend as well down to Saracens. And I believe also the Netball's Performance League sides are also action against Saracens as well this weekend as well. But they've kicked off their season as well. They've got some games coming up at the arena. So if anyone is interested, make sure you go down. And the more engagement you get, you might see me already in a netball skirt trying netball out at some point in the near future.
To see that. Everybody wants
from
to
that
see my
perspective.
pins in a little mini.
Yeah.
They do. It's a fact.
So that is the only news. That's the only news from the club this week. However, what I did want to talk about is that also this week we've seen a lot of new content from the club. We've seen Rhinos recall, which is after the game. We've seen bench cam. I particularly enjoyed Lasone blowing when he came off the pitch. There was also a player cam specifically on Momorowski, which managed to get a fantastic angle of Ash Hanley's try, like from on the Western Terrace, and watching it come all the way to it. It was almost scripted in the way that camera position was from that perspective. So I think that was all the new stuff that we've had. But my question to you, Ed, is what have you made of the sort of new footage that we've been getting this year?
It's brilliant, but I think Leeds, particularly in rugby league terms, have always tried these things. I don't know about other clubs because, to be honest, I'm a Leeds Rhinos fan. I'm not really a Super League fan, but I think the way Leeds have done the behind the scenes stuff before, and they've tried a few bits. Whether IMG are now here to kind of really, twist things and get the ball moving even more. I thought the player cam on Momorowski, I'm assuming that's the first of a series, and they'll kind of put that's just brilliant. It just gives more insight into how players work, how they tick, kind of following them in game. Because I did kind of say on the Salford review, I felt Momorowski was quite vocal against Salford, and just from the few clips I saw from the Mommy Cam, which is what it's called now, he did seem vocal, did seem to be pointing players in directions. Do you think that's something they're going to do moving forward? Is this player cam thing, or do you think it were more of a one-off?
I think it'll be home games.
Yeah, home games only. Yeah,
potentially. You might struggle for away, but I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more of it, and certain players as well. Like I know, obviously, we've got a load of new players, so they could go through about 5 or 6 new ones. It'd be great to see Croft and Frawley as one of those maybe main focuses next to Crawley. I nearly went there, didn't I? But really good to see either like a focus on Croft or Frawley. In fact, I think probably the most interesting one actually at the moment would be Miller. It'd be interesting to see what he looks like from following him on a player cam. But it's all just great footage, isn't it? I think for us that live and breathe Rhinos, it's great just to have that more content and not just the usual interviews for pre and post matches. You want to see that but more in depth stuff. So I think it's a really good step in the right direction.
And Paul Momorowski, obviously an incredibly good-looking man as well. So more footage.
You're not convinced your wife yet?
The better? No, not yet. I'm still trying.
They missed out with sin bin though, didn't they, on the player cam? I noticed.
Yeah, we didn't need to see that. probably because they were on sidelines effing and jeffing about it.
Yeah, probably I would have been.
How they sent me off for that? I absolutely loved that instant reaction from the Rhinos recall. Again, I hope that's after. You can only assume these things are happening at home games, which is fine. Obviously, logistically, it makes sense. But that instant reaction from Harry and Ash, I absolutely loved it. And I think it was a minute and a half. It was a really short.
Doesn't need to be long though, does it?
Which just appeals to that TikTok generation. The short. Yeah. It's perfect, and for them to spare that minute, it kind of showed their friendship. I know it was only a minute and a half, but Ash had his arm round Harry, and I just thought perfect just to get that instant reaction from a player to. Especially for the try as well. The try that Ash scored.
Yeah, the only thought of it is that Ash has just got to score one like that every week, or someone's just got to score one like that every week now. Because, if it's just a run-of-the-mill try, it's not as exciting to talk about, is it? But, you think about moments of last season, like, can you imagine Sony doing the same for when he scored a hat-trick against Hull FC away? When Zane Tetivana makes that big hit against Catalan. Yeah. Little moments like that in the games last year, I'd have loved that little 1 minute post-match thing of going, wow, that was a massive hit. Or like Sam Bassoni going, yeah, it was 40 metres, it was easy, just those little things. So I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more of the action of those moments. Because again, it brings the players to life a bit.
It does, and Chris, producer Chris, always says rugby league is the most clippable sport in the world because there's so much happening. So, like you said there, Lasonis, like when he came on the pod and we spoke to him about his battle cry before he ran in
Yeah.
at Huddersfield. There's loads of little clips, even in defeat. I hope the Rhinos still do this because there'll still be something in a game that they can shine a positive light on just for that 1 minute, to give fans a little kind of.
It doesn't necessarily have to be something positive. You almost. Last year we didn't get any behind the scenes stuff for when we lost, and part of it's like I want to see them hurting in a weird way. Like when we've lost, I want them to show that they care that we've lost, and I want to see who stood up as leaders. Now I know some of those conversations are private and that can be edited out, but I hope that's a change that we'll see at some point this season whenever we lose, which won't be for the next couple of weeks anyway.
No chance.
The only other new thing to update everyone that we saw was that there is a new family-themed dining experience which has been hosted by Ronnie the Rhinos for fans to enjoy the game. So it's Ronnie's Restaurant, which is in the East Stand Cafe Bar. So they're doing serve food before the game, bit of a family-friendly atmosphere thing. So anyone that does come along with a family looks like they've got entertainment and stuff before the game. So maybe give that a try as well. From that perspective. But that's it this week. Nice short weekly roundup. Like I said, in weeks coming forward, we'll have the women's when they play the academies, PWL, LDRL, wheelchair, and we'll hopefully rotate with guests from players of those teams to talk about the games that they played that weekend.
We didn't do bad there. We just got like almost 12 minutes out of a restaurant and three
new clips,
four different clips in YouTube.
Yeah, we can waffle.
It was bad. 12 minutes are gone out of that.
It's good. It's good. But part 2 is the preview. The preview for round 2 away at Hull KR.
We'll start with the team news. Do you want to give us the
the
squad?
I will do Hull KR's first. So they've named their 21 as well as us. They've made 2 changes. So Matty Staunton and Lewis Senior come back into the squad. But Dean Hadley misses out for HIA, and the Matt Parcell, who's now a grub, gets a 1-match penalty notice from there. For us, there was the big news that Mikolaj Aledski's been ruled out with a short shoulder injury, which we believe is meant to be short-term, not long-term, which is bringing that Tom Nicholson-Watton's coming to the squad. James McDonnell's returned back to the squad, but we're also without David Fusitua, who's had minor knee surgery and a calf injury. Darrell Alfords is also still unavailable due to a hip injury. We're still without Tom Holroyd and Max Simpson, and unfortunately Morgan Ganner's been ruled out for 3 months due to the head contact from there. So that is the team news.
The biggest news from there was obviously Oledsky dropping out. Rowan confirmed that it's a shoulder injury, but it's the same shoulder that has had injured previously. We can only hope it's a short one. Everybody just pray God that Mick is only missing this game. How did you feel when the squad came out and that was kind of that news broke about him being injured, Reece? Because we said on the Salford review that the way he went down in that game, we thought, Christ, that looks horrific. But he came back out, finished the game strongly. So this was unexpected, I feel.
I need to listen to Rowan's press conference, but I don't think this is from the Salford game. It sounds like it's from maybe training or it's an old injury, like I say, an old injury. How did I feel about it? Gutted and a bit worried because I felt before the Salford game we were going to be weak in the middle. When you look at the numbers after the game, it showed that we were actually stronger in the pack, but that was because Oledsky had got double amount of metres than any other prop on the game. So I think that's, and is a play that can play, he could play 80 minutes, is that fit?
Yeah.
I know you probably don't get the best use out of him over 80 minutes, but he is a 60, 70 metre prop at a high level. So that is it's a big loss, I think. And my concern is that at KR, you can't really afford to give them an easy start, because if it's their first home game of the season, if they get an early try, the crowd, the atmosphere gets up, it's going to be a sellout by the looks of things. You can quickly fall behind quite quickly at that stadium. And we need to win the middle, because if they're winning the middle, their half backs will potentially run riot. I think the two similar teams have got two great half-back pairings, two great set of outside backs. It's going to be all won and lost in that middle battle, and not having Aledski there is a weakness for us.
Yeah, massively. Weakens us enormously. And we can only hope that it is just one game, because it's just, we're kind of wanting that 2022 version of Mick. We're all kind of praying that it gets back, gets fit, and shows us that. We also have got news about David Fusitua, still injured again. Had an operation, you mentioned there. A great player. Everyone listening to this, every Leeds fan, when he's on the field, he is great. But the issue is getting him on the field.
It's another position where we just don't have the depth necessarily, do we? Know at prop. To be honest, I don't think you'll ever have depth at prop. I think we've always said you can never have too many props. You can never have enough of them, and that's showing right now. We've lost our 8 and our 10. We're down to, a second row / prop, or a loose forward / prop in Gudemond and Donaldson, Tom Nicholson, Wharton, and then 2 impact props. And I still remain adamant that I still don't, when we come to predicted lineups or what lineups we would want, Lasone still won't start for me despite this injury, because I think he's best coming off the bench. But I think the same goes for winger. You don't need loads of wingers, but again, we've got a winger that we know is very, very injury prone, and potentially don't have a suitable skilled backup. But I think people's opinions on Roberts is indifferent, I think is probably fair to say. I know there's been people calling for Nen McCormack and maybe Jack Smith to start against Hull KR. It's too much of a baptism as a fire for me, is that stadium, for them. Look at what happened to Luke Cooley. It's a difficult place to go. If
Nen McCormack's 10 times better than Luke Cooley.
The wind gets swirling in that stadium, if the crowd get on you, it's a very difficult place to respawn from. Respawn, that's probably not the right word. But, to regather your game, it's a very difficult place to play.
I agree. I think Roberts is going to play, so we just have to accept that.
Yeah.
And he did get targeted by Mark Sneed in that Salford game. Mark Sneed, whether you like it or not, Duncan, does have a really good kicking game. Just, it's the only thing he does have, a good kicking game. KR don't have a decent kicking game, I don't think. Now that Abdul's gone, I think...
it's not as strong.
Tyrone May,
Tyrone May's...
Abdul, Sneed, they're potentially the 2, Harry Smith, 3 best kickers, in-game kickers in the league. So the fact Abdul's gone, because he killed us there last year, like you mentioned, he absolutely gave Luke Hooley a baptism of fire on his debut. I think Lewis will be fine. Lewis Roberts isn't my concern that he's playing on the wing instead of David Fusitua. I didn't feel he played that bad at home to Salford. Do you think Roberts is a weak link? Is it too obvious that they are going to target him? And more importantly, are you concerned about their kicking game?
Not their goal kicking. I'm just going to put that out there. Kicking in hand. Not as much as it would have been last year, because Abdul is very good at kicking the ball around the park. I mean,
it's a different game if he's playing.
Don't get me wrong, Mikey Lewis in an attacking kick sense, I think he's very clever with his grubber kicks, and that's something that Lackey Miller's going to have to keep a big eye out for, especially when it comes to goal line defence. But that territory game kicking, I wouldn't put Tyrone May as one of those as a stronger in there in the league. He's probably still good, don't get me wrong, but he isn't a Jordan Abdul in that territory game. So, but a bit like you said, I think anyone who plays that winger spot is going to be targeted, whether it's Lewis Roberts, whether it's Harry Newman, or whoever plays that winger spot's going to get targeted, because that would be seen as the weak link, because it's not the starting winger that we would normally have. So I think Roberts will get targeted, but I think he'll expect that. And to be honest, he dropped. Yes, there was one that he dropped. Ash Hanley also dropped one last week, and the other one that Lewis Roberts got pinged for, he knocked it backwards. So that was a bit that was unfair. So
Lewis will be fine. He'll be absolutely fine. So the other injury news that we got this week from Rowan is Morgan Gannon. Morgan Gannon has been signed off, is what Rowan said. Those were the words from Rowan. He's been signed off for a 3-month layoff. Morgan is training still with the first team, but no contact in training. Reese, we've said this loads, but it's not only is it a concern, but it's vital that the club and Morgan get this right for this young man.
Absolutely. It's gutting, to be honest, because I know we spoke to him in the media day, and he just wanted a season, didn't he? He just wants a season. So, it's going to be frustrating for him as much as it is it's going to be frustrating for him more than anyone else. Because I thought in that pre-season game against KR, he was back to his old self. He's 20, 21. Younger old self. But yeah, it's immensely frustrating for him, but they've got to do right. But I think the good news is that he's training and there's no consequences from that, because I have read stories of concussions where people can't exercise without being sick or just not able to do it. So I think that's a good sign that he's able to train normally and he can keep himself fit and in shape. And Mark on our WhatsApp group is a big advocate for him just playing in the reserves for 3 or 4 games before he even comes back to the first team. And I've probably not been on board with that, but now with this latest sign-off, I think that's probably the best route to come back in for him now, is just to, when he comes back into contact, that the reserves isn't as big an impact as the senior grade, and I think that's the right thing. But I just have my fingers crossed for him that this is the last of it, because he's a phenomenal player and a great young lad. It's just a bit unfair on him, really, isn't it?
It is, and we've said it almost 2 years now. His potential's sky high, and we just want Morgan to get better, get back, and get it right, and show us all what he can do again. And I'm absolutely adamant that that'll happen. But 3 months now. Let's just let's get him right, and let's get Morgan right, and then he'll come back and show us how awesome he is.
From a squad perspective, though, we've got depth there, haven't we? So I think that works in Gannon's favour. When there's not going to be no pressure for him to come back. We've got McDonald coming back fit. It'll give Leon Ruan a chance to step up and step into the side. And I want to see more of Leon Ruan play. So, I think it gives, an opportunity for Leon Ruan. So I think from a positive side, we can afford to let him have that time off, because as much as a great player he is, we've got a good players that can fill that void whilst he's off.
Agreed. Tom Nicholson-Watton. Little Tom coming in. Super League debut, if he gets picked, I believe.
If he gets starting debut, if he gets picked for the starting lineup.
I'm expecting him to really make his mark. I think he will play. We are short on props now with Mick out, with it being, Donaldson, Lasone, Gudemon, Sangare, Tom Nicholson-Watton or Ruan in there. I'm expecting him to almost be on the similar level to James McDonald, in that I genuinely think he's going to play and he's going to have such a good game, he's going to become undroppable like James McDonald last year.
I think he has that potential. And I'm when you were asking that question then, I was trying to think back to Tom Holroyd's first season, and I think he must have played about 10 games that year, and when Holroyd started to break through. I think he'll have a bigger rise than Holroyd will, because I think there's more of an opportunity. Not that I'm saying that Little Tom's better than Holroyd at this stage. I just think that the opportunity for Little Tom is massive, because Holroyd's coming back from injury. Oledzki, this could be, we don't want it to be, but it could be a recurring problem. But please come back, mate. But my shout, my thought with Little Tom is starting.
Absolutely.
And
get him in there.
That's not because he's a friend of the pod. My logic behind this is Sangare and Lasone are not starting props.
No.
If you need someone that's going to hit the mark off and can stay on the field for a good half an hour with full energy, then out of Nicholson-Watton, Lasone, and Sangare, Little Tom is the one to use. Yeah. So I think he has to start with Gudemond. That puts pressure on Little Tom to be the meter maker because Gundogan didn't make a lot of meters last week, but he did make an absolute shit ton of tackles.
And Gundogan's going to have to step up as well. He's going to have to, both of them. I know Tom is a prop, but Gundogan is going to have to play prop for Leeds.
Yeah, and Little Tom, I think, has to start. I mean, because Lissone is still not fully fit. He's still coming back from injury himself. So that's the call that I would make. I don't believe Rowan's going to agree with me.
So do you think he'll start Sangare?
I think he'll start Dono. But I just have this feeling that he'll start Dono. But I think Gundogan, if we're starting Gundogan and Dono, that's two very small props. You might as well have me and Duncan. To be fair. But my shout would be to start Little Tom.
Absolutely. Has to start. And I'm going to back him to absolutely smash someone as well. I'm going to back him.
No, we can't. I mean, after the match review pal at the weekend, I'm not sure we should be backing him to do that.
To absolutely smash someone, like Tariq Sims style on George Williams, like just level Mikey Lewis. Good to see James McDonald back.
Yeah, really pleased. I don't think he'll start again. I think Bentley. I think Bentley will reclaim his starting spot and I think that'll be Gundogan will push up, and I think the bench will look really strong because if in my team it'll be Sangare, Lissone, McDonald.
Shall we go? Do you want to give us? Shall we go through to predicted lineup and? Do you want to give us your 17, Reece?
Yeah, so it would be I would do obviously Miller at fullback, wingers Lewis Roberts and Ash Hanley, centres Momorowski Newman, halfback Crawley. Let's just combine them. Yep. Starting props: Gundogan, Nicholson, Watton, Ackers at hooker, Bentley, Martin in the second rows, and Cam Smith at loose. And then my bench would be Lissone, Sangare, McDonald, Jared O'Connor.
It's exactly what I've got written down here. Exactly to the T.
We are in sync. I've
got written down here. I would expect there's a lot of work. Both James McDonald and James Bentley, they've both got plenty of work, as in they are workhorses. Both do get stuck in, and I think with Mikalecki missing and Nicholson Watton kind of coming in and Gundogan almost morphing into this prop as well, we're really going to need both Bento and McDonald's work rate to be really high. I think they're going to have to really put massive shifts in, which they do tend to do anyway. I think we need to see more from Sangare. I know we've been saying this and banging this drum a lot. He's got the frame. He's an absolute beast. We need more power from him. Lissone kind of, when he first started, took a while to get going. We need Sangare in some form now. Would you agree with that? Now's the time for Justin to really hit some straps and find some form.
It's his opportunity. He's never started. I don't think he's ever started a game. And that might tell you something. He's never started despite the injuries that we've had and the depth we've had. But it's an opportunity, and I think that's Justin's got to lap that up. But I mean, if it comes to key battles tomorrow, I think Rhinos on their website have highlighted Miller versus Hiku. My key battle is Cameron Smith versus Minchella. Yeah. I think two of the best loose forwards in the league, players that probably should be within a shout of an England place at loose forward. I think quite similar players as well. I think Minchella's been developing his game as a bit more of a ball player. I think Cam this year is definitely more of a potent ball carrier whilst also having that ball playing ability. So I think they're two very similar players. So I think that is going to be a really, really key battle to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Who do you think's the biggest threat for Hull KR?
I think it's obvious to say Mikey Lewis. I hate his attitude, but that's because he doesn't play for Leeds. If he played for Leeds, I'd probably be lapping it up. But I think he's one person that we'd certainly need to watch out for. I thought, was it Tangi Noah?
Yeah.
I thought he had a very, very good game for them last week and probably was there, probably player of the match. So I thought he had a cracking game for KR last week, so he's one to watch for me as well.
Ryan Hall for me, obviously. Best winger.
Will be against Lewis as well.
He will. Best winger to ever play the game, yeah. Lewis Roberts and Harry Newman, both of them have got the work cut out. Kind of marking the best ever winger. Do you think those two will be able to nullify Ryan? Do you think there's enough there to kind of prevent him from scoring a bucket load?
I think so. I think Ryan Hall's true asset now is carrying it out from deep. Obviously, he can still finish.
Yeah.
But you're not expecting him to score 20 tries a season anymore. But you could. I mean, that could get egg on my face with that comment. But it'll be a tough night for Lewis Roberts. Don't get me wrong. And Oliver Gildart's on that edge as well. So another good centre there. So, but this is what I mean about the outside backs. I think it's a really good matchup. Tom Opachik versus Momirovski. Hanley's way better than Evans, that's fine. But Miller versus Hiku, Newman, Gildart, there's some really good matchups in that outside backs, and that's why I mean that I think whoever wins that battle up the middle, or who can ever give the best platform for their halfbacks, is where the game's going to be won and lost.
You're going to the game.
I am. My first ever trip to Craven Park.
Are you going to take in the whole Craven Street
if I get there early enough, yeah. So it depends what time I finish work, and also depends on what the M62 is like. Because as we know, at the best of times, take you an hour and a half to get back from Headingley the other night, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, I need somewhere new to park, I think, or a new way home. Yeah, that was just absolutely diabolical. Anything else before predictions?
Nothing else from me.
Prediction, Reese?
I think I said Hull KR 18, Rhinos 22.
4 points.
Yeah, I think we'll both score 4 tries. I think Martin will miss 1 kick and Hickey will miss all of them but
all
one.
of them.
In fact, he'll miss all his goal kicks, but he'll score a 2-point in front of the post to make it 18.
I'm going to say Leeds 28, Hull KR 6. Leeds will romp away, and then Hull KR will score a late try from a sloppy bit of defending. Enjoy the game, everyone. We'll be back to review this game in the studio, the ACDB studio, next weekend. Take care, everyone.